everybody, I'm Jeff Bower.
And I'm Joey Marino. Welcome to Actor Chats.
This week we have our third and final part with Tim Phillips.
If you don't know Tim Phillips, he's an on-camera acting audition coach in Los Angeles, and he has a great book, Audition for Your Career, Not the Job.
In this segment, Tim talks about working with James Dumont, being angry on camera, and advice for young performers.
Actor Chats with Tim Phillips.
Our friend James Dumont, that's who brought me to you, really.
He hasn't stopped working for 5 years.
Yeah, he told me. I actually stood in for him 3 times over the last decade, and I would see this guy, and he's just a nice guy, and he's a fun guy, and we had a New Orleans connection, his wife.
Sure, yeah.
And he told me at one point, he mentioned you, and you know, each time we'd but he just said his career changed when he studied with you, because I think that the writer's strike had hit.
Yeah.
And he said, you know what, I think I need to get better. And then I think he went to you, and I don't know if it was you who called him. I think it was you who called him out. You said, I know you've been acting for a long time, but this is what I see.
That's right.
Something of that nature, he told me. And it shook him, but it almost like, what the fuck?
That's right.
It made him kind of angry in a good way.
Yeah.
Like, now I need to get better.
Yeah. Well, people say you teach. I said, no, I talk a lot in terms of crafting and what I can get you to understand. Let's look at the first take, and let's look at the second take, and then you tell me. So the TV is what teaches.
You probably weren't even being harder than me. You just saw it and went, whoa.
I don't have to be. There's the before and after, and they go, oh my God. There you go.
And he got to be Jared Leto's father. And,
absolutely. Brilliant performance.
Yes.
He crafted that right here.
Did he? Oh, do you work with him on that?
Yeah. I work with him on just about everything.
Oh, really?
He's so busy now, sometimes he doesn't have time to come in. So.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. I don't know how many films he's done, over 200 in the last two years, I guess.
This work has changed him, really.
Well, a lot of actors try to do all the work, and that was mine when I started acting. I was trying to do all the work that I learned in my Meisner class, and you don't have time for film and television to do that.
Right. That's what I was talking about, simplicity. Yeah. I've given myself just a few things to do because I get fragmented and overwhelmed, which I think is very human. But
exactly, but because you think you have to do all of it and you don't. It's like the cliche. You don't have to go back and do the history. You don't have to create all of that. Fuck you. Do you understand?
Exactly.
I don't have to go and do the history to mean that.
Yeah, it might be emotional. It might be emotional, or it might not be emotional, but you go.
But the cliche contains the emotion. He believed that I was angry at him. Do you understand? Because the fuck you, do you understand, contains the anger. I don't have to get angry to say it. Why? Because my entire life that I've been saying it is the emotional preparation for the moment.
Interesting.
That is. It pares everything down.
Because a lot of guys today, they still have people thinking about old methodologies or things where they say, oh, that director gave me a result. Or
right.
I'm like, so what? Do it. You know what I mean? Like they used to say the Strasberg actor would look out the window and go, in that reflective way, and go, it's snowing outside. And the Meisner actor would get snowing. But it was more, that the essence is on doing and today doing very quickly.
Yeah, and it's really about relationships that expose the plot. And a lot of actors think, well, if I understand the plot, then I'll understand how to act the scene. Well, what if you're not given the plot? Uh-oh. Well, there is no uh-oh.
Some people try to act the plot.
Oh, yeah. If I understand the whole story, what's going on here. And that's a false thought.
And that really throws you in your head, because I think that's what a lot of actors do that overwhelms them. They think, I'm going to have to act the whole Megillah.
No, you don't. It's just moment to moment, which is also a Meisner thing. Yeah, so it's much easier, and that's what a lot of then you have to throw all that, the way that you used to work, you have to throw it out the window. And then you get pissed off. They get pissed off at me and go, where have you been? I wish I had studied with you 10 years ago, and blah, 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 blah. And, I wish my teacher had taught me this. I keep saying, the foundation is great. Don't do that to yourself. Those teachers are great. You're here because of those teachers.
Right.
But things have changed, and some teachers have not changed. They're still attacking it the way they do. I had to change because I'm on the front line. I'm
That's
literally on the front line. People say, well, how are you as a teacher? I said, I'm not a bomber pilot. I'm a fighter pilot. So, I can't stay up here and just allow things to happen. I'm with you on the front line. And we have to know exactly what it is, boom, then go. And so I had to invent, because that's what happened to me, is I didn't have time to do all of that work. I had 6 hours, and 3 the first time working with Duvall, and I had to just go. So what did I learn from that, and what did I use? I knew who everyone was, because I invented their reality. And Duvall talked about in some magazine, Tim Phillips is a natural improvisational actor. Great comment. The point is that that's what I had to do. I had to create literally their reality for all those kids. I was a teacher in one of his films, and Angelo, my love, and I had to create their reality. And I fooled all those kids into thinking that I really was a teacher. I wasn't teaching then, I was just acting, but that I was a high school teacher, or whatever grade it was. Yeah, middle school teacher, I guess, high school. They believed me, and they came up to me and said, oh, Mr. Phillips, can you teach me that? I said, no, get on your mark. You little bastard.
Oh yeah, been there.
Yeah, that's why I was talking to you, because I knew you had. Yeah. So, someone said the other day that your book blew a lot of bullshit out of the water. That's not true. I've taken what I learned and what a lot of teachers teach, and I've honed it all down so it's usable in this world. Frankly, if we could make a living doing theater in this country, I probably would have just stayed with theater. Because it's more complete. When I work on a theater piece, I go,
It's definitely an actor's medium.
oh, it's just it's warm and fuzzy, and you just want to fall in that big bed and go for it. But I'm a fighter pilot, so I want to get you working, so then you can go back to do stage. At least once a year, get back on the boards for a week or two. You don't have to have a run of a play, but if you're theater trained, don't lose your soul to the idiot box, to the TV. So what do? Get the job, start making money, and then go back to. And then I can show you some of the joys later on about when you have a run of a character throughout a film, and some of the joys that you can actually have a sense of the stage while you're working.
Well, interesting when just working with you on camera and things. I began to enjoy the intimacy of it more.
Yeah.
Like before, I was
Yeah.
self-conscious a bit, and I was worrying about what I was doing. But when you're talking face to face with someone, there is a space between you, and there's something going on that's
Right.
intimate and nice, and precious and cool, that you can have. And I think then you really don't have to act as much once you know what you're doing and once you've crafted.
Well, I said that to a person just recently. I said, when you're on stage, you can hide behind the furniture. You can change the blocking a little bit. You can look upstage. But when you're on camera, I think it's Susan Sarandon that described it this way. It's like having a giant zipper on your body and unzipping it. And it's that kind of intimacy.
Yeah.
And it's really scary. I mean, when you're talking to someone, I think Michael Caine talks about it as intimacy. It's a love affair between you and the camera. So, and what is that kind of love affair? The example that I used in Atlanta just recently, I go there 3 or 4 times a year. I'll be in your hometown soon, New Orleans, in October. Again, I've been there 4 or 5 times. And I used a girl there. She was sitting in the front row, and I said, I'll give you an example of this. And I looked her in the eyes, and I said, without you, my life has no meaning. I love you more than I can possibly say. And then I start looking around as I'm saying all of these lovely words to her. And she started to laugh, and I said, why are you laughing? She said, because you don't mean it. But I said, okay, now we'll do it again. And I didn't take my eyes off of her. And she got teary.
Wow, interesting.
Because I literally did her, and that's a Duvallism. You capture the other actor and bring them into your reality.
Interesting.
Capture the other actor. Yeah, and that's the difference between stage and camera in many ways.
And that's also the difference when you, in your own life, I think, when you
Sure.
really feel something, that's when you really do tend to just look someone in the eye and tell them, and you mean it from your soul,
Yep.
and they know you do.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's on,
Yeah.
or it's, I don't want to be with you.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Oh, my
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, there's an intimacy that's scary for a lot of actors, especially actors who are used to working on stage
Yes.
because of the distance. There's
That's
a
where
big
the
difference.
gold is.
Yeah. Oh, but when you on camera, man, you can't hide. You can't hide. There's a great Kazan quote. I don't know if I can summon it up, but he talks about it invades the camera invades the husk of the actor. It is an awful truth. That's what the camera sees, an awful truth. And it sees when there is no truth. And therein lies the rub. I'm paraphrasing the
Yes.
quote, but that's basically what it is. And that's Kazan. I mean, Kazan said that back in the 40s or 50s.
He was great.
So even now,
Even more so.
oh
now.
my God. I mean, handheld up your nose.
Exactly.
Steady cam. I mean, you can't be false. You can't turn upstage. You can't hide behind the furniture when a dude's following you around with a steady cam. You've got to be truthful all the time, which means that every object you're dealing with has to have a meaning for you. And all you have to do is know it for camera. You don't have to act it. And that's where things really get intimate.
Very good.
Because it takes away our own, and we all have our own personal light show, our own little mannerisms that we
Yes.
use when we get vulnerable. And you can't.
Sometimes
do that.
it's trying to evade
That's
too.
exactly right.
I really realized some of my looking away was just trying to get away.
Yeah, exactly.
And not hanging in there with it, and not thinking I was enough or
Right.
whatever that was, and not just thinking I had to act it or mouth it
Right.
or push it, and not just speaking from my knowing
Right.
of the work and just looking at someone and saying it.
Right.
It's
scary.
It's scary.
Yeah.
And then when you do watch it back, though, you go, wow, that's the best I've ever been.
That's right. That's exactly right. Those are the rewards. That's what I'm saying. And you're not a judge of your work while you're doing
And
it.
somehow you even look better.
Oh, of
if
course
that
you
makes
do. Of
sense.
course you do.
You know what I mean? Sometimes you look at
Younger,
yourself when you're
slimmer, handsomer.
yeah, exactly. I have more hair.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, it's a world of truth. It all distills down. It's not as complex as people think. It's really, really simple. And our job, that even Meisner said it too. My teacher Robert Patterson said it. Our job is to take a complex and make it simple. And that's our job. More so on film than ever because of technical things.
I think we're going to see a lot of people, speaking of tipping points and outliers. You're going to New Orleans. You're going to Atlanta. We're going to see a lot of kids coming out of that who may be an extra on a show or maybe something and go, I like that. I want to do that. Do you think about that?
Yeah, I'm starting to work with a lot of kids too in various places because there's a ton of jobs in New Orleans and North Carolina and Atlanta, and they just put 2 new studios in Atlanta. I mean, things are...
Central Casting opened in New Orleans, Los Angeles, New York, and New Orleans, which is crazy.
Yeah, well, Pinewood Studios put a studio in Atlanta. The other 2 were Pinewood in London, that's been there for 150
It's
years.
insane.
One was in Canada, and they put one in Atlanta. Why? What do they know that we don't? Of course, it's old news now. but-
Yes.
Yeah, so there's just, the entertainment industry, tons of work being done. Some great actors on cable. A lot of A-list actors are now doing television. People say, it's because blah, 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 blah. They're doing television because they're allowed to do some work.
Yeah.
I mean, cable, they're,
They're able to get in there and.
Well, look at the work that those 2 guys did in True Detective.
Wonderful.
I mean, the moments where there was no talking.
Yes. And in the studio, very often, they'll just say, "Oh, we need to do this and we need to do that," like dogmatically, and the good work's coming out of some of these places.
Well, I think those people are on the cutting edge of what's necessary, and that pushes everything a little bit more forward. I think cable is going to make network better.
Yes.
At least I hope so.
Yes.
And Webisodes, I mean, there's a ton of stuff out there. And people would go, oh, well, that's just a webisode. What do you mean it's just a webisode? It's not just a webisode. It's a human being in a human situation. That's what... Why are you talking about it that way? And that's what happens. The actors start talking business.
Right.
And you lose your art. There is no art in the business as far as actors are concerned. It's you and your character. The only person that you have to justify your work to is your character. 5 different directors in the room, they'll all have a different point of view. Who do you listen to? The one that signs the check. That's who you listen to.
Right.
But the bottom line is, it's you and your character.
And you have to protect it.
You have to protect that. Absolutely. Be arrogant about your work, your craft, not as a person, as Duvall says. So, and most really good actors, they decide on projects based upon the character. I want to be him for the next 3 weeks or 3 months. Or
Look who I get to be.
Look who I get a chance to be. How
be.
cool was that?
That's very good.
Man, when I heard that, it just turned my head completely around, because I was worried about results and being accepted and doing good work and not embarrassing myself and blah, 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 blah. But when all I have to do is play the role of Sam, it's me and Sam, and I'll allow you to watch. I said to Richard Schiff years ago, I said, when you get to L.A., this was 20 years ago, I said, when you get to L.A., you walk in that room to show them what you want to do with the role.
Mm-hmm. That's great.
Don't try to live up to what you think they want, because you're not a fucking mind reader. You're an actor.
Interesting.
And you have to do that. And you'll get, what was it? Gene Hackman says, I've always worked the same way. The way I was trained. I think at Pasadena Playhouse, or I can't remember where he studied. It was here in L.A. And he said, they used to fire me for the way I work. They don't fire me anymore.
Right.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, this is, if you don't have a way of working, then you're full of shit. But if you have a way of working, and you believe in yourself as an artist, and you know that you owe your character justification and honesty. I mean, if someone were doing you, wouldn't you want them to do you honestly?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, be selfish about your character.
When Brad Pitt plays me, I really feel
That's exactly right. And as long as he sends you, a piece of the coin, then you'll be fine too. But if you have that, then you insulate yourself from the bullshit of the business.
right. I guess that's the only thing you have to hold on to. Anyway.
What you can't hold on to the business.
Yeah, no.
It's a fickle lover, for
Yes.
sure. So, and that's where the joy is. The joy is working.
And I think even in auditions, I think there's a friend of mine. He puts a version on Instagram about, look who I'm trying to be today.
Right.
But I even told him, look who I get to be, because even if it's an audition,
Sure.
this is look who I get to be today, even if it's an audition.
Yeah. And this is, you gave me the script and you gave me 10 minutes to work on it before you bring me into the audition. You get 10 minutes worth of work. I can't do everything that I know how to do in 10 minutes, so I'm not going to. I'm going to do what I know how to do in a 10-minute time frame.
Right.
Then I release all that pressure from myself, and I talk and listen and have a great time. You cast me or you don't cast me. That's up to you.
And like George Clooney said, when you go into auditions, he uses the thing, I'm playing with house money. I don't have the job.
That's right.
The only thing I can do is get the job.
That's right.
And
you have nothing to lose because you don't have a
nothing to
damn
lose.
thing when you walk in the room.
And they're dying for you to probably do a great job, I would
They
imagine.
just want to see you work and go home. They don't want to be friends. They don't want to even have to like you necessarily. They just want you to see your job. Do your job, and let them see it, and go home. And if you're literally doing, I can remember there was a talent agent in New York called Fifi Oscart. I don't think she's still alive. It's been too many years ago. And she came to see me in a play in New York, and she said, after the play, she was standing, she was gruff, tough, and she literally put her hand on my chest and pushed me back from the crowd because everybody was, we were having Chardonnay or something after. And pushed me against the wall. She said, I hated the play, but I loved you.
Great.
I said, well, that's great. That's really wonderful. I want to see you tomorrow in my office. And I said, that's great. That's great. Who are you?
Oh, no.
And everybody around went,
Uh-oh.
I had no idea who she was.
It's probably
It's
good.
Fifi Oscard agency. So we never signed together. It wasn't the right time. But that's what you get.
Yes.
You know, I hated to play, but I liked you.
Do you ever, just for the shits
No.
and giggles of it,
No.
want to act?
No.
Never.
No.
Because even when you told Jeff, "Fuck you," I liked it. You scared me,
There you
and
go.
I thought you were really good.
Well, anger on camera is not healthy. It'll exhaust you. Take 18, you'll be exhausted.
Right.
All of the great actors, Duvall included, and Gene Hackman, those are the two. Andy Garcia in his early work. Shirley MacLaine, Kathy Bates,
Yes.
they never get angry.
Right.
They get crystal clear.
That's a good
Reads
point.
his anger.
That
Then you don't exhaust yourself. You're not holding on to
interest. That's
what I did when I said, fuck you. All I
Okay.
did was get clear.
That
But
that's
the camera
a great
sees it. You can
distinction.
feel it. You can, whoa.
That's a great distinction
Yeah.
because when you said Kathy, because we having a chance to be around her,
Yeah.
she just gets so, and it scares you to your
Yeah,
boots.
and she can do take 14, 15, 16. So yeah,
That's
it's
awesome.
it's you exhaust yourself if you think that you have to really get angry. I mean, I was taught to prepare for a long time before going on stage. No preparation for camera, by the way. None. Use a cliche.
Okay,
Don't prepare emotionally.
because it would be too much.
Too much. It's too much. That's one of the reasons they say throw it away. Throw it away.
Ah,
You're being
because-
emotional, no emoting. You just have to mean it.
Moments are for sissies, as a director told me, Jonathan Kaplan,
There you go. There you go.
from The Accused,
Sure,
who
sure.
you noted in your book.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he's a great
Yeah.
director.
Moments are for sissies. You can actually have moments as long as you don't think that you have to have moments. That's the big difference.
distinction.
But the moments are the happy accidents that Duvall was talking about. But Meisner is a great foundation for any of your listeners that are thinking about acting and wanting a good foundation. The repetition exercise.
I think
is
I would have
really healthy.
today if I was coming up today, and I still sometimes I didn't get that training of the repetition, and I think that's the way to go in terms and also improvisation technique and
Sure.
those things that keep you out of your head.
Absolutely, and when you realize that all acting is Jimmy Cagney's quote when he was asked, "What's your school of training, Mr. Cagney?" And he said, "I'm a hoofer. I learned it was school of hard knocks. I'm a tap dancer. I was a hoofer, and I backed into acting." And well, what is your philosophy of acting? Plant both feet firmly on the ground, look them in the eye, and tell them the truth. More true today than
Ever
ever.
before, yeah. We'll probably close out here, but just any advice you want to give young upcoming actors, and then obviously anything you want to talk about, any appearances you're making, or how people can get in touch and study with you.
Yeah, I have a website, timphillipsstudio.com.
Excellent.
But and I look on it to see where I'm supposed to be myself. So
Good.
two things. The first is if you don't love it, you won't do it. You've got to. It's just too hard. It's not a game. It takes a lot of work to be really good. And all of those actors that you all admire have worked very hard to be the artists that they are. And after that, it's persistence and luck. You crossing paths with the right person at the right time, like happened to me with Robert Duvall, changed my life, changed my career. And I'm passing it on to you guys, because I learned so much from him so quickly through observation and discussion, but mainly observation, that I saw it work in real life. And being an actor opposite him, I could feel it working. So I knew that it worked, and I had to find a way to make sure that I could translate that. So you have to enjoy the process. You have to want to be as good as you can be. The proud, the few, the Marines, whatever that is, be all you can be. So, but if you don't have to do it, you won't. I can't, not just because I teach classes, but I can't stress enough how important classes are for actors. When I have dancers, a dancer would never think of not taking class. It never occur to them. But actors, well, I studied acting, But if you don't keep sharp, because I often think of acting as a sport. I mean, Tiger Woods, all the great golfers, all the great athletes, all of them have coaches. Only actors can sit in their apartments or their houses waiting for the phone to ring and then wondering why things aren't going so well. You've got to keep sharp. Scene study class is important, but you have to understand that you don't get work from scene study. That is literally for you and the scene and your partner. All of that is solid work.
Would you
But if
say
don't-
actors should put themselves on camera before
Absolutely.
every
Well, that's
audition?
it. That's where the money is. And if you don't know how to do on-camera work, you better find somebody that can teach you how to do it. That's what I was really backed into this because great actors that I thought were great actors weren't getting work. And I'm going, what the hell's going on? And then I start working with them on camera and I go, oh, this is what's going on.
That's great stuff.
It's a whole different world. A lot of actors think that if I take how to act for film acting for film is not the same as auditioning for film. Auditioning for film is a close-up. Acting for film is not a close-up. It's a master or two and then into a close-up, maybe. But usually they just stay with the master or two shot. So they're actually filming scenes in a sense. But this is it. This is the real world out here. And if you don't know how to do it, you're screwed.
And you're kidding yourself.
You're an amateur. That's how they think of you. You go, well, all this training and I'm not working. Well, you have to evolve. And I try to keep on the edge of the evolution of what's necessary in order to succeed and survive in this business. And then you can go back and do your play. You can go back. I'm serious. I'm serious. Get back on the board. Larry Moss hates TV and film and all that kind of stuff. And so I do that, and he does scene study and great intensives. And he demands that everybody get back on the stage. And I don't disagree with him, but not all actors are stage actors. But if that's where your heart is, once a year, put up a scene at least, or do a play for a couple of weeks. There's a ton of empty theaters around. Go for it, and then you get that Theater Jones satisfied, and then you can go off and do your television and film and pay the rent.
Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Keep the faith.
So that was our third and final part with Tim Phillips.
You could play these 3 episodes about 3 and 4 times and get a little different nugget each time.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely go check out his website, Tim Phillips Studio.
And his book.
Be sure to come back next week for our next Actor Chats.
This has been Actor Chats with acting coach Tim Phillips.